Here we have a trigonometric problem, that is we have to solve for x in the given trigonometric equation, that is cosecant square x equals to 4, where x is in the interval that is 0, 2 pi, that is x can be greater than or equal to 0 and it has to be less than 2 pi. Okay, now to solve this equation, to solve for x in this equation, first what we have to do is we have to write this cosecant square x in terms of sin x using the reciprocal trigonometric identity. So we know that sine and cosecant, both of them are reciprocal to each other. So for example, if you have cosecant x, it can be written as 1 over sine x. So cosecant square x can be written as 1 over sine square x. Here you have a question. So for what reason we have to change this cosecant to sine x? So if I convert this one to sine x, I'll be able to get the angle measures from either from a trigonometric ratio table or from unit circle easily. That's why I just convert this cosecant to sine. Okay, now I got 1 over sine square x equal to 4. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take reciprocal on both sides. So the what is the reciprocal of 1 over sine square x? It's just sine square x over 1 or just sine square x. And the reciprocal of 4 is 1 over 4. Okay, now to get up the square over here, I'm taking square root on both sides. That is square root of sine square x equals to square root of 1/4. Whenever I take square root on both sides of an equation, for one of the square roots, I have to consider positive or negative sign. So I consider positive or negative sign for this one. Okay, here the square root and square root cancelled on the left side. I'm getting sine x equals to positive or negative. When I take square root for this one, it's just 1. And when I take square root for this 4, it will become 2. So I get two values for sine x. One is sine x equals to positive 1/2 and the other one is sine x equals to negative 1/2. Okay, let me write the stuff over here. Sine x equals to positive 1/2 and sine x is equal to negative 1/2. Okay, now so we have to find the value of x in this interval, that is 0 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 2 pi. So the value of x has to be can be equal to 0 or greater than 0 and it has to be less than 2 pi. Okay, so let me consider the 4 quadrants. Let me draw the 4 quadrants over here. Okay, so here we have 4 quadrants and see here we have 0, pi, sorry, it's not pi, it's pi over 2, it's pi. And here we have 3 pi over 2 and here we have 2 pi. Okay, this is quadrant 1 and this is quadrant 2 and this is quadrant 3 and this is quadrant 4. Okay, yes, we know that sine x is positive in the first quadrant and second quadrant. In the first quadrant, all trigonometric ratios are positive. So sine x is also positive. Using ASTC concept, sine x is also is positive in the second quadrant also. Okay, first let me find the angle measure in the first quadrant for which the value of sine is a positive 1/2. So we can use a trigonometric ratio table or the unit circle. So to get the angle measure for which the value of sine is 1/2, so clearly it's 30 degree or we can write it in radians because here the limit for x are given in radians. So we have to write the angle measure in radians. 30 degree can be written as like pi over 6. Okay, now to get the angle measure in the second quadrant for which the value of sine is equal to 1/2. So what I have to do is I have to consider the same pi over 6 as a reference angle over here. So the pi over 6 has to be considered as reference angle. So now to find the angle measure in the second quadrant over here, what I have to do is I have to subtract this pi over 6 from this pi. So pi negative pi over 6. So when I simplify this one, I'm getting 6 pi negative pi, that is 5 pi over 6. Okay, in the first quadrant, so for the angle measure pi over 6 and in the second quadrant for the angle measure 5 pi over 6, the value of sine is equal to 1/2. So I got two solutions for the first one, that is sine x equals to 1 over 2. Okay, now I have to find solutions for this one because I won't find, I won't get any more solution for this equation. So because sine is positive, that is we'll be getting a positive value for sine only in the first quadrant and second quadrant. So when I go to the third quadrant over here and fourth quadrant, the sign is negative. So I won't be getting any more solution for the first equation here. Okay, here the sin x is negative. Sin x is negative means like the angle measure x has to be in the third quadrant or in the fourth quadrant because in these two quadrants, sin is negative because here it's negative. Okay, so I would have to find the values in the third quadrant and fourth quadrant for which the value of sin is negative 1/2. For that, you just assume this is a positive 1/2 and find the angle measure in the first quadrant. When sin is equal to 1/2 in the first quadrant, we get pi over 6. Just now we got it. Use the same pi over 6 as a reference angle in the third quadrant and fourth quadrant to get the angle measure for which the value of sin is negative 1/2. So I assume this is positive value and find the angle measure in the first quadrant for which the value of sin is 1/2. So that is pi over 6. Now I'm taking the same pi over 6 over here in the third quadrant as a reference angle over here. Now I have to find the angle measure in the third quadrant. So for that, what I have to do is I have to add this reference angle pi over 6 to this pi. Then I'm getting pi positive pi over 6. Actually, this is third quadrant. So when I simplify this one, 6 times pi is 6 pi, 6 pi positive pi, 7 pi over 6. So I'm getting 7 pi over 6. So for the angle measure 7 pi over 6, so the value of sine is negative 1/2. Again, to get the angle measure in the fourth quadrant, again I have to consider the same pi over 6 as a reference angle over here. Let me write it. Okay, now to get the angle measure in the fourth quadrant over here, I have to subtract this reference angle from this 2 pi. Then I'm getting 2 pi negative pi over 6. So when I simplify this one, 6 times 2 pi is 12 pi, 12 pi negative pi is 11 pi over 6. Let me write over here. So when I solve the given equation cosecant square x equals to 4, I'm getting 4 values for x in this interval. So that is pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6, 11 pi over 6. I got the first two values of x when sin x equals to 1/2, and I got the next two values of x when sin x is equal to negative 1/2.